On today's episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, I'm your host, James Barlowe. I got my guy Latif Love with me. We got so much to cover. Mainly, obviously we're going to talk about Keaton Wagler's 46-point game. We're going to talk about Kingston Flemings dropping 42 and also AJ Dybantsa dropping 43, but there's so much more to cover. Stay tuned. Tuning in and listening. I got my guy Latif Love with me. If this is your first time watching or listening to this podcast, me and Latif have been in the lab together a few times. Latif, where can they find you at?
At Real Latif Love on Twitter. I'm sure you might have seen my work if you watching this, because some of my stuff has been gaining a lot of traction. So you've probably seen it in the passing on Twitter. So Real Latif Love on Twitter, and then lovemytakes.com on Substack. I have a Kingston Flemings article dropping pretty soon. I was already working on it before his 42-point outburst, but obviously a performance like that motivates you to get something done a lot sooner when something like that's happened. So it's coming soon.
Since you started with Kingston Flemings, let's get right to Kingston Flemings in a loss against Texas Tech. Kingston Flemings had 42 points and 6 assists. He is shooting 39% from three. He took 10 free throw attempts this last game against Texas Tech. That's a very good sign. And he also shot 9 threes. In that game, he shot 4 of 9 from three. I don't want you to spoil your article, but your take on Kingston Flemings' performance against Texas Tech. Where do you currently have him in your latest big board whenever you decide to drop it?
Well, last time I was on here, I told you I had him PG1, and that was before a game like this. He's been excellent since I've said that. And in terms of where I have him on my big board, I made a tweet about it. I have him at 4. I do have him at 4. I think that he is the best star bet in his class outside of the top 3 players, the consistent top 3 players in his class. I think he gets it done on both ends. I think he takes care of the ball. I think he's extremely impactful on one of the best teams in the country. As an 18-year-old freshman.
Whoa. At first you said Houston wasn't that good. You didn't think they were as good as their record. I remember that, Latif.
I did say that. And again, you see why, though, because their offense just gets into like ruts too many times. And it's been like that for a few years now. Like under Kelvin Sampson, their offense has these lows. And it happens in the big moments. In the tournament, we see it, like they just can't score the ball. But the defense is one of the best in the country. Joseph Tugler is obviously very important to this defense, and I think his foul trouble had a big deal with why they lost his game. But I don't think, when I say I don't think they're good, that was earlier in the year, and I wasn't expecting Kingston to be this good. I wasn't expecting Sinak to be this good in conference play. It's kind of going under discussed. But yeah, I think they're a good team. It's just that they are relying on 2 very young players to give them a lot of offense, and there can be some ups and downs with that. And Emmanuel Sharp's shot selection is terrible. I still like Uzan. Tugler doesn't give you much offensively, so that's why I think there's some highs and lows with this offensive team, with them offensively, but their defense is elite. So, but yeah, I think that the fact that Kelvin Sampson is relying on a freshman guard to be his best player, frankly, is unheard of. It's never happened, ever. I looked up in my research for the article. I was trying to find how many players, in how many players at Houston have ever, as a freshman, played 60% or more of their minutes, and there's a very short list. And none of them have been impactful as Kingston Flemings. So I think he's the best freshman he's ever had. In his program, and I think that he's a top 4 player in his class. In terms of the performance, I think that he's obviously had big games this year, but this was a step in the right direction. You mentioned the 9 3-point attempts. You mentioned the 10 free throws. The biggest knock on Kingston Flemings for me is his shot diet. I think that in the modern NBA, you need to, as a guard, be shooting a lot more threes. As a perimeter player, you need to be shooting a lot more threes. It's one of my biggest knocks for AJ. I think as far as like the ideal shot diet for efficiency, you need to be shooting more threes, and he's below 30 free throw rate, and below 33-point rate. And players that have that type of shot diet do not turn out to be efficient NBA players. It's pretty much you can do it. Like people have done it. I think Drew Holiday also had that as well, who he's been comped to. But your chances are lower of if you're not getting to the foul line and shooting threes to have a positive true shooting percentage, because those are the two big things. What's your shooting percentage? Free throws and threes. So that's one of my main concerns with Kingston. And I will explain more in my article why I still like him a lot despite that. But yesterday, I'm sorry, 10 free throw attempts. He shot a lot of threes. A lot of them were self-created, and they were contested. They were tough shots, and he knocked them down. He hit big shot after big shot when his offense was sputtering, as it does. They leaned on him to go to, and he performed.
I agree with you in terms of wanting him to take more threes. I've highlighted. I don't know if I remember I clipped up a video or not, but there was a game, I forget who it was, and there were 3 straight possessions where he passed up a wide open catch and shoot 3 to drive to shoot a contested mid-range jumper. Depending on who you talk to on Twitter, man, they love the mid. I have no issue with mid-range jumpers as long as there's a in particular for guys like Kingston Flemings, who's going to have the ball in his hands. I just don't want you to pass up open jump shots. That's my biggest thing. And he shot 9 threes. Again, a lot of them self-created. I do think that I have him I'm hovering between 4 and 5 between him and Caleb Wilson. We'll talk about Caleb Wilson shortly. But that performance that he had, him getting to the line 10 times, that to me is going to be the biggest adjustment for him. I think that's the biggest adjustment for guys, learning how to draw fouls, especially when your entire life you've been way faster than everybody. You're still faster than everybody. And I mentioned it before, like there is some Derrick Rose, Minnesota, where, again, very good mid-range shooter, very good off the dribble. And throughout his career, at least after he got hurt, shout out to Derrick Rose getting his jersey retired, but like his free throw rate went down tremendously. And a lot of it was him just avoiding contact. I don't think Kingston is avoiding contact, but he's going to have to learn how to draw fouls. I think that will come. Part of that comes with being aggressive, like how he was against Texas Tech. But I think the easiest thing for a player to fix, that we hope to fix, is just turning down catch and shoot jumpers. Like I said, we'll talk about AJ and his reliance on driving so much, even though he did have that monster 43-point game. But I think those things with film study, you can fix those. The free throw rate for Kingston is something I think he's going to have to adjust. But I also, at the same time, if he's super aggressive like this, I think he's going to find, just off of just numbers, number of drives, he will find the free throw line. I mentioned before on a pod that I had by myself, I was like, if he had the scoring chops of Tyrese Maxey, there are a lot of similarities as far as his straight line speed. Can't stop him, but at the same time, Tyrese got to the basket, got to the foul line more at Kentucky. You know, he didn't shoot the ball as well as Kingston is shooting from 3. But it was just a good sign to see Kingston Flemings go off in this performance. Like I said, 4 and 5, I'm kind of back and forth as far as where I'm going to put him. But he's, to me, very much so a top 5 pick in this draft. Anything else before we move on from Kingston Flemings?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, when we talk about the Kingston Flemings not drawing fouls thing, they went to, no one in Houston draws fouls, because the context of a lot of these players playing does matter about their analytical profile. Talk about Keaton Wagler not getting steals, which we'll talk about that later. Nobody on Illinois gets steals. It's because of the scheme they run and how they're coached. But right. The problem with that is that Kingston Flemings didn't draw a lot of fouls in high school. I went back and looked. He didn't draw a lot of fouls in high school. Also, someone on Twitter, I think his name is Blocked by Bombas. He's a Nets fan. He pointed out that a lot of the players that go from Houston to the NBA don't draw fouls either, like in the NBA. So it may not be like the actual system, but just the type of player that Kelvin Sampson is recruiting. Just for some reason, they haven't drawn fouls. I think Marcus Sasser didn't draw fouls. Jamal Shead doesn't draw fouls.
I get that. I don't know if me personally, again, I know the numbers may say one thing, but I don't know if me personally, again, I know Marcus Sasser is, I know Jamal Shead is. They weren't they didn't have the the level of driving ability. I don't want to spoil your take, but you put the graph up on your tweet that his ability to get in the paint and create paint touches is historical, right? So I don't want to say because those guys haven't, like, they don't play like Kingston, and at the same time, I don't want to say. Well, I do agree with the defensive side for Keaton Wagler because that they're just not aggressive like that for him to get steals. I don't know if I can pin that on the coaching staff or the style of play that they play versus something that he's just going to have to figure out because, again, it's not him. I'm not saying you need to go out there and foul bait, but there are times where it's like, and I guess early on in the season, there were games where I felt like Kingston was deferring to the older guys for whatever reason, but like he's the best player on the team. So I think with a step up of aggression, we'll get more free throw attempts from Kingston Flemings. Speaking of Keaton Wagler, interesting. I get your take on Keaton Wagler because you had some concerns, and you're gonna have concerns about guys. But that 46-point game on 13 of 17 shooting that was amazing. Keaton Wagler, he just basically played an NBA style game against Purdue. He was like, I'm putting you in pick and roll, and if you switch, I'm gonna score. And at the same time, I'm a good enough playmaker where that big that is out of position, we're gonna take advantage of him. 44 points, 13 to 17 from the field. I believe it was 9 from 11 from 3. I didn't get to watch this game. There were so many games on, so I had to go run this back on Synergy, and I thought that like my loop was like, or my feed was looped, and they kept repeating plays because it looked like the same play over and over and over in the first half, and he just took advantage of it. I have Keaton Wagler as a top 10 pick. I know there are people, and I'll let you talk about it. I know people have concerns about he doesn't have any dunks or he's not getting any steals. I just look at it like this. At 6'6", he still has a lot of maturing to do physically, but on the season, he's a 44% shooter on 6 attempts per game. He has a high IQ, and he's a good enough playmaker. I think he's going to be somebody that he may not hit the ground running right away in the NBA, and at the same time, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the guy who you have initiating offense all the time, but as a secondary playmaker, I do see a very bright future for him because, again, he knocks down shots. You can put him in pick and roll, and he needs to get physically stronger, but at the same time, he mixes it up. He's averaging 5 rebounds a game on the team that plays a bunch of bigs. I like him a lot. I think he's a top 10 pick. Your thoughts, Latif, on Keaton Wagler, last game's performance against Purdue on the road, and also your just overall evaluation of him?
It was a special performance, one of the best I've ever watched, and that's saying something considering the amount of performances we saw on Saturday. It was literally one of the most historic days of college basketball. Probably the best I've had as a fan. Obviously, I've been doing it as long as you, but I can't remember a day where a freshman got off like this. And I think Keaton's probably the most impressive. On the road against Purdue, one of the best teams in the country, and it was all on him. He scored like their first 19 to 20 points. He attacked the switches, attacked their bigs. He got downhill. He made threes. He also still, moved the ball and got players involved as well. Still, it wasn't a selfish 42. It was, I'm getting my buckets in the flow of this offense. These are the best shots I'm going to get for the whole team. Me shooting the ball is the best shot for the whole team in this game, especially with I forgot his name. He just got injured.
Kylan Boswell.
Colin Boswell, especially like he's had to take on a bigger role, a more on ball usage role with him going down with injury. But I thought that Purdue's game plan against him was, I mean, at some point maybe send a double or like stop switching. I don't know. They kept with it, and he made them pay. It was literally a terrible game plan, and he executed though. He executed against it though. So I have to give him his credit for that. It's definitely one of those performances that wakes you up. It's like, okay, I gotta take a large look at this. Now I already have an article on Wagler. I did it like a month ago, so I've already did a deep dive into what he's good at, what his weaknesses are. I think that before that game, people were putting him top 5 already. To my surprise, I saw that after the game, I saw people were putting him top 5 before the game, and. Now after the game, again, amazing performance. People are still talking about him top 5. on my top 5 tweet I had on Twitter, people were saying this disrespect to Wagler, and I understand the skeptics. I understand his biggest proponents. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm honestly, and I guess this might sound crazy to some, I'm still trying to talk myself into putting him into the lottery. Honestly, now because there are some things that Keaton Wagler does really well. He's a big time shooter, obviously. He is a very high field player. Now, these are two things out of guards I really highly value. Being able to take care of the ball, get your teammates involved, and shoot the ball at a high clip as well. It's high value and it's high efficiency. However, as far as like the dunks and stuff like that, that's something that I do share concern. He's 6'6" and he has no dunks, and like that's obviously a good athletic indicator. But also his driving in terms of actually getting to the rim is pretty poor. He's shooting 37% right now on drives from 2. He's been hitting his threes on drives, step backs, and the little jab move cross he does against big men has been really worked as well to create separation. But when he actually needs to get downhill, he's been struggling to get all the way to the rim and then finish at the rim in a half court. He has sometimes he's not able to get all the way to the rim, and so he settles for like non-rim twos and mid-range twos. Hasn't been converting those at a high clip. So I do think there's real athletic concerns outside of him just not having any dunks, but him having 0 dunks, that points you in the right direction. There are athletic concerns with Keaton Wagler. I think that his handle is functional in terms of him not losing the ball. I don't think it's necessarily dynamic. So when you combine athletic questions, big ones, with his like skinny frame, and he doesn't have a lot of weight, so it's not like if you're not athletic, you can maybe combat that with what? Strength creation, like Cameron Boozer does, like Kyle Knippel did. But he's not strong. So that is very concerning for someone that's going to be playing point guard. I think that...
you think he's playing point guard, though? See, I don't think that he's playing point guard in the NBA.
He's probably a combo. He's a combo or a secondary ball handler, which is
Go ahead.
I think he's a secondary ball handler, right?
Yeah. I think in the NBA, his profile is more. Man, people may not want to hear this. I don't care. I think his profile is more Brandon Pajemski than whatever people may think, and I have him like 10. So Brandon Pajemski is not a great athlete, but he rebounds, good enough playmaker, very good shooter. There's some other Brandon Pajemski stuff that people may not like about him, but that just may be his personality. And also because Golden State said that I don't want to trade him for Larry Markkinen, allegedly. But if you look at I look at what I think that Keaton Wagler is going to project that, yes, secondary playmaker who's going to have to rely on a lot of craft, who's not a great athlete. That sounds like, I mean, again, what you feel about Brandon Pajemski, not necessarily you, Latif, but the listener, he's productive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like that's where Keaton Wagler is. And I'm not taking Brandon Pajemski in the top 5, especially in this draft.
Yeah, I struggle with the top 5 stuff because I think that for me, like the athletic indicators are very frightening for me. Like that's not something I can just like I think this class has been extremely hard for me so far because there are so many good players. This is the best draft class I've ever scouted in my life in terms of how players are performing. So it's very hard to order these guys. So I've been having to really like nitpick. I've been having to really like dive deep into their profiles, and that's something that's screaming at me. He doesn't have any dunks. He also doesn't get any steals, and I understand that he's in the context of a defense that's not very aggressive. They don't double team. They play a lot of drop coverage. They're very conservative. They try to limit threes and limit fouls at Illinois. So one thing that's a positive for his athletic profile is that he does offensive rebound. So that's something that goes in his favor. Though everyone at Illinois offensive rebounds, like they are one of the best offensive rebound teams in the country. So I think he's a tricky evaluation. I think he's not like. I've been hearing in conversation from people like, like there's a clear top whatever in this class. Like I think he's a very risky prospect. I don't think he's like safe like whatsoever. The shooting is safe, the passing is safe, but his ability to finish at the rim in a half court against set defenses is something I'm very concerned about. And also his defense, like he's not. I don't think at this moment he's a good defender. I think that he's 6'6". We don't know his wingspan yet, but he's not very like quick or strong. So that's going to hurt him on both ends of the floor, probably in the NBA. So those are things that are just very, very like concerning to me as a prospect. I'll have to dig into it. I can definitely see myself putting him somewhere in the lottery, but I feel like there's so many guys in this class that have a lottery case. It's going to be like a super big tier until we can break it down more, until people fall off or something like that. I don't know. But Keaton Wagler, very, very great game. I'm still skeptical. Like, I can't just say he's a top 10 pick because if you're going to be a secondary ball handler, I definitely would want. I would want to feel better about your defense for sure.
That's a fair point. Just to wrap up the Keaton Wagler discussion, Brandon Podziemski this year, and really for his career, is 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shooting 39% from three. And he's in and out of the starting lineup for Golden State. He's not their second option unless somebody's hurt, but he's somebody who, given an opportunity, is productive. That's what I feel like. That's what kind of player Keaton Wagler is. Like, I can't put him in the top 5, but we can't obviously ignore that he's a great shooter. And at the same time, I do think he needs about 30 pounds for him to even just to be his optimal self in the NBA. That 30 pounds is not going to make him more athletic, but it'll at least be able to help him finish through contact when they chase him off the line. Just little things like that. There's a world where he's more of a 3 and hopefully play some D guy than an actual secondary creator. Just from the shooting standpoint, and he's maybe a ball mover who can run some pick and roll action. But
he's pretty good in the pick and roll. He's one of the best.
Top 5 is just a little bit too rich for my blood. That's just all I'm saying. The last 40-point game of this weekend. And I wonder, if AJ was on his phone, he had people in his ear, and he's like, yo, there's some historic moments going on. But AJ Dybantsa had 43 points in a win against Utah, 15 of 24 shooting. I believe he shot 4 of 5 from the three-point line. If you are on the draft Twitter streets, there's been a lot of talk about AJ Dybantsa against top whatever competition. And I'll let you go ahead, Latif. Tell me about AJ Dybantsa and where you are in this conversation as far as him as a prospect and just whatever you got to get off your mind about AJ.
There's been a lot of fading AJ on Twitter. We see it every year, honestly. Last year was ace, and some of that was warranted. Some of the stuff with AJ this year is warranted now. I've seen him as low as 12 on some boards. I've seen him at 6. I saw him at 6 from my guy Ament on Twitter. Now, I personally can't get that low. I still have him at 3. But a lot of what they're saying is very, 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 it has some merit for sure. Like his play against higher level competition. In terms of this game, I think it was more of the same. Obviously, AJ can score I think he is in the conversations for the best scoring prospect since Kevin Durant. It's hard for a lot of teams to stop him. He can score from all 3 levels when he's shooting threes, which you want to see him more. For me, it's just everything outside of the scoring. How consistent can he be? When his shot is not falling, what value does he bring to a team? Is he going to get his teammates involved? Is he going to play defense? Because his shot is not going to be falling every single game, or every possession. So on a possession by possession basis, how is he going to contribute to a team winning at the highest level? So I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, I didn't take anything from this game at all. Utah is one of the worst teams in the country. They are one of the worst defenses in the country. I didn't take anything from this game whatsoever. I mean, he dominated them, but we know AJ can do this already. So we've heard the stuff about his play against top competition. I'm gonna reiterate it now because it needs to be said. People need to talk about it. Against all competition, he's at 63.6 shooting percentage, 1.3 assist turnover ratio, 2.9 stock percentage, which is not high. His 2-point percentage is at 60.9, and his box plus minus at 11.7. That's just some of the base stats. Against top 100, pretty much everything he does, it falls off. He's getting to the rim less. He's at 49.6% from two in comparison to 60.6. So that's a really big drop off against top 100 competition. It is 10 games. His assist turnover ratio drops from 1.3 to 0.9. His true shooting percentage drops from 63.6 to 55.9. And his box plus minus drops from 11.7 to 7.2. AJ already know you can score against some of the worst teams in the country. I know that already. I want to see you perform against the best teams in the country consistently. You had that really good half against Clemson. You had that really good half against UConn. I know you can do it. I want to see it more. That game against Texas Tech, very, very rough. And we've had these conversations on the pod, right, James, where we start like, okay, AJ arguably has improved the most out of the top three in his class. That was the thought process I was under. But when you really sit back and look at it, that stretch where it was like late November to early December, that schedule was very, very, very light. They were playing some bad teams. He has not been kept the same productiveness, impact, anything against top 100 competition. He's just not done it. So we're talking about one of the best draft classes in NBA history. We're talking about one of the best top threes we've seen in a very long time. That is something that just cannot go unnoticed. We made so much conversation about how Cameron Boozer handles length, how Cameron Boozer performs against remember that was a whole narrative, how he performed against top teams in the beginning of the year. So we had to talk about this with AJ. It's the same thing, but even worse. Because Cam was still impactful, very impactful in those games where he was struggling to score offensively because he can do other things outside of score. But when he hasn't been as efficient against top opponents, but he's also not getting steals or blocks. He's also not playing good defense. He's not playmaking at a high level whatsoever. And that is very important for a top three or any draft with prospects of this caliber. So I think that is very alarming, and it's something he needs to change before the year is over. Or I think he'll find himself further and further away from the number one pick conversation in terms of people that's not like the NBA. Because I think that he is going to go number one. I think he is. I think it's hard for NBA franchises to pass up on a 6'9" prospect that can score at all three levels, has the fluidity and can move like he does. And at his age, it's going to be either him or Darren. I don't think Cameron is going number one. I think that, practically, that's a very low possibility. I think NBA front offices are going to look at Darren and AJ and choose between one of them two.
I agree with that much, and I want to say that we, as the basketball or the draft community, and some more than others, you see the statistical impact, and that all makes a lot of sense. But then there is whether you like it or not, there is a financial impact when taking guys, and it's easier to sell a fan base on a Darren Peterson and a AJ Dybantsa, just stylistically, how they play, aesthetically, how they play. They're going to put people in the seats if they reach their optimal, versus as great as Cameron Boozer is. Cameron Boozer is, it's meat and potatoes, and he's going to get the job done. I want to say this about AJ. I'm all for nitpicking. Again, it's like you mentioned before, this is one of the best draft classes ever. Top three, we have basically three guys who would go number one in a lot of draft classes if they weren't all in the same class. My thing with AJ, I'm not going to hold, I don't have the list of the teams that he's struggled against. I know that Texas Tech game wasn't good. TCU game, I believe, or was it Kansas State? I get the mix up. TCU, he was wild. I think he shot 8 of 22, a lot of turnovers. He had a 7 turnover game. Handle didn't look tight. But I don't want to, when we evaluate the data, I'm not going to say, because that Connecticut game, even though they did lose that game, that holds weight. For him to turn it around, I don't know what the box plus minus of a game that is, or even that Clemson game. I just think that at times, AJ, how he plays, how they use him, it can get ugly. The ball stops on the wing, and it becomes AJ make something happen, and it's not as much pick and roll. It's a lot of ISO, and then that's where, when that mid-range jumper isn't falling or he's not getting fouled, then those possessions can get really, really ugly. And then there are times where I do think that he just doesn't go right. And he goes left too many times into traffic. The 43-point game, because it's 43, it's amazing. And he has games, again, BYU has played nobody in Big 12 play, but that's not AJ's fault. And I will say this about AJ before we move on. He's got Arizona, I believe, on Tuesday, and they got Kansas on the weekend. So those are two really big games. We like to think that Darren Peterson's going to play that game against BYU. The game is at Kansas, but Arizona is going to be a really big test for AJ. Arizona's a very good defensive team. They got several buys they can throw on him. I'm all for the nitpicking. I don't necessarily think that the steal percentage, I think that's going to have to come from him being coached up. I compare it to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's steal percentage in college was not good. Jaylen Brown is a guy who I think he is in the MVP race this year because he competes on both ends of the floor. Sometimes it looks like, and this is my thing with AJ too, sometimes it's not going to be pretty, but if it gets you a win at the end of the day, you'll take it. And that's where he is with the Clemson game. They didn't win the Connecticut game. He's going to have these rough shooting nights. And again, it's extremely talented draft class. You wanted to chime in on something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that Clemson game was probably the best of his season so far.
Yes.
In my opinion. Like, he didn't score 43, but he actually, he had 6 assists in that game. He moved the ball in that game. I think that was AJ's best performance. I mean, I kind of want to get your input on this because, again, even in that UConn game where he turned it on in the second half, he had 0 assists. Like, I know AJ can score. I already know he can score.
But you know what, though?
What is he going to provide outside of his scoring, though? Like,
so here's the I want to say the parallel. I don't think they're the same comparison of level of talent, better player, but like how Rutgers used Ace Bailey last year. That looks nothing like how Utah uses. It's a lot of off the ball stuff. I think at the next level, AJ's isolation mid post, those numbers come down, and you put him in pick and roll more often, and that's when those assist numbers, the playmaking, him being able to change the outlook of a game looks differently. I just think that in college basketball, BYU staff is saying, look, they can't stop you, and we're just gonna live with you mid post ISO. I don't think he's a really good isolation player. He's not going to. I don't think if I were coaching him next year, I'm not putting him in as many mid post ISOs. I'm going to vary his shot profile. There's going to be a lot more him setting the screen. There's going to be a lot more him being the lead ball handler versus catch, ISO, pound, go middle, get fouled, and shoot a jump shot because you just can't win like that in the NBA.
Do you agree that it's concerning in terms of what he's bringing to the floor outside of scoring the basketball?
I do think that it is a concern, but he rebounds at a decent enough level. Again, the playmaking, we've seen him grow as a playmaker. I don't think that it's because he's not a good playmaker. I think it's just how he's being used. But again, at the same time, he's 6'9", 6'10". I would like him to be more of a disruptive defender. But that just seems like you're going to have to bring that out of him. But at the same time, if you want to hold that against him, I'm not going to knock you for it. Because Darren Peterson's a good defender. We know Karen Boozer can't move his feet like we want him to, but he's going to get steals. He's going to position himself to end possessions because he's going to grab every rebound possible.
I think that the thing with AJ, and a lot of people have chalked it up to effort. Like some of it is effort, but it's also just very bad technique, which has been present in his film. Like, I watched this kid for years now. I know you have as well. His hips are high. He's not a great screen navigator, and off the ball, he just falls asleep. Like, he just does, where he's not tagging rollers. He's not boxing out on occasion. Like, it's effort, but some of it is like he's just not recognizing where to be on defense. Like, that you can coach that. I mean, but I don't know. That's tough because it's easy to say you can coach that, but like the history shows that all the players that have these low steal numbers, and I know people don't like numbers sometimes, and analytics, FC or whatever, but history shows we have like examples of players being this low production in terms of steals or blocks, especially at 6'10". That's very concerning.
Yeah,
and not being good defenders in the NBA, especially with the offensive load that AJ's gonna have. Like he could just generally be a negative defender in the NBA, and then he's maybe not providing as much value as a Darren or as a Boozer.
I 100% agree. And like I said, with him, you hope that it's more so the Jaylen Brown case where you have the talent. We can't
Jaylen Brown
teach what you have. Huh?
Jaylen Brown went to the Celtics, and I think
Yes.
that's a very underrated part of his development. Being in
I
a
agree.
world class organization, and Jaylen Brown has had some of the best spacing lineups over the last 4 seasons possible. He's also played throughout his career. He's played with some of the best defensive personnel in the league possible.
I agree.
So it's definitely hit. I think that Jaylen Brown is in perfect context throughout his career to like just dampen his weaknesses. Like we know he can't. He's not a great ball handler, and he turns the ball over when he's trying to score a lot. We know he falls asleep off the ball, and he's not a great off ball defender. But
when he locks in, we saw the job, and it's not just him locking in.
He's a good ISO defender. He's
Yes.
very strong, very athletic. He did a good job on Luka. He did a good job on Jimmy Butler. He did a good job on James Harden in the series before. Like he is able to guard at the point of attack in an isolation when he is locked in. Correct. That is true.
That is where I am with AJ. You have the tools. We got to bring it out of you.
Got to put on some weight. Jaylen Brown is very strong. You got to put on some weight for sure. That's a big part of Jaylen Brown being a very, very good defender. Is that I think that his BMI was further along at Cal than what AJ is. He's probably a little bit more heftier, but I digress.
Fair point. All right, moving on to the guys who didn't score 40, right? That's what kind of night or kind of day it was Saturday. Let's go right to Darius Acuff. He had 31-6 in a win against LSU. Every time I get on the podcast and talk about Darius Acuff, I give Darius Acuff his props because he has grown tremendously from how he played in high school, how he played at AAU. He's definitely more of a ball mover. And the shooting, people have been waiting for the shooting to fall off. He's still shooting extremely well. I think he's above 40% from three. This draft is crazy. I have him at like 13, I want to say. And that's not because I don't think he is good. I just think that, this is a very deep draft. So what are your thoughts on Darius Acuff performance against LSU? He's somebody who's played extremely well, I believe, in big games. And he definitely has emerged as, obviously he's their guy for Arkansas. But your thoughts on Darius Acuff in his game against LSU and just overall as a prospect?
I think that, he looked like what a Cal guard has looked like over the years. Like, he's going to score. And Cal gives his guards the opportunity to go out there and just put it all on them and allow him to thrive. And that's what we've seen from Darius Acuff this year. He was excellent in his game. I think he had 24 points and 5 assists at halftime. Just extremely productive. He doesn't turn the ball over a ton either, which is very, very encouraging. Now, I think that he's a good, not great passer, and he doesn't create the cleanest advantages, getting towards the rim, which has been something to monitor him. But I'm with you. This is a guy I want to talk myself into putting him in the lottery and having him high up there because he's been extremely productive. He's still young. Obviously, he has a good frame for sure. But this is pretty much what we've seen from him: high level shot making, high level distribution, balancing his scoring and playmaking with the best of them this year, and not turning the ball over. That's just been very encouraging from him. I think he started his game out not shooting the ball the best, and then he kept at it. And LSU did a good job staying in his game, and they've been more impressive at times this year than I thought they would have been coming into this year. But LSU has been solid. So I'm pretty sure they're a top 100 team. So this is another game where he performed against high-level competition. And at times this year, I feel like he struggled in the first half and got it going in the second half. But this one, outside of the first few minutes of the game, he had it going throughout. Darius Acuff is a player that it gets hard a little bit to deny his impact. He's another one of those players where I think that his free throw rate and 3-point rate isn't super high, so it kind of makes you question his scoring and his efficiency, how it will translate to the NBA. I see him get comped to Colin Sexton a a little bit.
He's a better passer than Colin Sexton and more willing passer.
Yeah, he's a better passer than Colin Sexton, but I think that there is a chance that Darius' offense is just good enough to get him on the floor and have him on the floor. I do think his defense is a real concern, for sure. To the point where like that's what's keeping me away from it. That's basically what keeping me away from it. Like putting him higher. His defense is I think pretty bad.
Outside of this game, what did you think about his performance against Vanderbilt in his matchup against Tyler Tanner?
Oh yeah, that went under discussed. He played extremely well against them. I feel like that
it was like a Tuesday, so yeah, it was kind of like
that didn't get a lot of traction especially because you know I don't know how much you see this stuff, James, but I'm deep in the NBA draft Twitter streets.
I see it too. I mean,
so
where is Tyler Tanner at? Is he a first round pick to you?
Yes, he is. Yep, Tyler Tanner is a first round pick to me.
Where at? I saw, again, no disrespect to anybody. I saw somebody who was like, they had him as like the third best point guard in this draft. And like, it's not, Tyler Tanner does everything you want somebody his size to do, except for his floaters is terrible, right? And I talked about it briefly on my last pod. I don't think he was that bad defensively against Arkansas, but like because he's small, when it looks bad or when he gets taken advantage of, those are like major red flags. Like there was a play where, and he couldn't do anything about it. He got switched on Trevon Brazile, and it was like one dribble monster dunk. And there was a couple plays where he got moved, like the physicality. I mean, he can't be no more than 180, 185. Then there were plays where he jumped the pass the lane. He stood up Acuff on the drive going right. At 6 foot, if he is 6 feet tall, again, I love the dunks, the athleticism, all the things that I want my maybe 6 foot point guard to do. He does them, but he just might be a little bit too light in the pants for me to put in the first round. Do I think he's an NBA player? Yes. I think he's more 32, 33, 34 than some of the higher like lottery type level where I've seen some people. Again, everybody's opinion is their opinion. But your thoughts on Tyler Tanner's performance against Acuff that game?
I think it was very notable performance, just that game in general, because I was going to say like there's been a lot of conversation in between. Like every time you see Tyler Tanner high on the board, there is Arkansas fans in the comments like, "Why?"
Yeah, they got the notifications on red alert, man. They got the hounds out.
Every board there's gonna be an Arkansas fan under it. I'm scared to release mine because they're gonna send their shooters at me because I don't know where I'm gonna have Darius. But it's as far as Tyler Tanner, I wrote an article on him. It's one of my favorite articles I've written. Actually, I went deep in my analytical bag and combined it with film as well. I have him as a first round pick because, like you said, I just pretty much think he's an outlier for his size. He is an outlier in the world. Probably one of the best athletes of his size in the NBA draft ever. Steal and block production, amazing. Some of the best ever. He might be the highest field prospect in his class. He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes every decision he makes is just correct. And when you combine his cognition on defense and offense, he probably is the highest field player in this draft. Why I have him as a first round pick is for the reasons I just explained. He is an outlier in every sense of the word. High field. And I think that he's going to be able to make himself palatable on defense off the ball. In this game against Arkansas, you saw some of the struggles where like, if he's getting a mismatch in the NBA, it's probably going to be a bucket. I think bigger guards like Acuff, and he showed it on a few possessions, will overpower him, will go past him, just stronger. And he's not only is he small, but he's light. Like he's not light for his size.
Right. It's not Fred VanVleet who is 6 foot 5'11", whatever, and is 200 pounds and is built like a little tank. Yeah, and that's why I think that he is a very first guy if he does decide to come out. Now again, we understand the financial sense that doesn't make sense, but at the same time, I'd give him a guaranteed contract if I took him at 31, 32. I think he's an NBA player, and he's going to be pesky on defense. He's going to do everything he can. It's not an effort thing. It's just he's 180, 185. That's my thing. Now, let me pivot on you real quick. Shout out to Darius Acuff. I'll get the Hogs fan off your back if they're watching, listening. He said high field guys controlling the offense, doesn't turn the ball over. I want to get your thoughts on Jeremy Fears Jr. Jeremy Fears Jr. had a 17-point game, 17 assist game in the same game, and he played 25 minutes in a blowout win over Maryland. Jeremy Fears Jr., probably the best lob passer in the country. I want to say he's like 15-8 on a very good Michigan State team. He defends at a high level. The raw three-point percentage is not going to wow you, but I think he might be like TJ McConnell. I think he might be Jamal Shead. I think he might be, there's another smaller guard I wanted to compare. Not smaller guard, but past first point guard. What are your thoughts on Jeremy Fears Jr. as an NBA prospect?
And I interviewed him when I was in my freshman year of college at a tournament when he went to Joliet. I watched him and Jeremiah when they were at a tournament out here. He's from out here as well, from Illinois. So I watched him while we were both growing up. But I think that there's definitely a possibility of him being an NBA guy. Now, I think his scoring process is very flawed. I don't know how much that will work, but that's not what you're drafting him for.
No, you're not.
Yeah, he's a hound on defense. He makes it very, very tough for the opposing team, other guards. He's going to give 100% effort. One thing he does well offensively is draw fouls. He draws a lot of fouls, especially for his size. He doesn't turn the ball over. He gets offense organized. So all of that stuff is pretty good. I think that he can definitely be a second round guy. I don't think he's gonna come out. I think he might want to just play all 4 years and become a legend at Michigan State. And I think that he can be an NBA guy at some points. He kind of does got that TJ McConnell where he has that unparalleled passion and rim pressure, like where he's not even trying to score all the time. He's just putting pressure on the rim.
He gets you every single time. And what I like, I mean, he pushes the pace, obviously, but like for somebody to not be, he's not a great shooter, and definitely, actually, he's a better shooter off the dribble, but like he's throwing lobs to guys who aren't your out the gym jumpers. Like the bigs, obviously, Carr is the best athlete like ever. And he may catch a full court lob in transition, but his chemistry, Jeremy Fears' chemistry with his bigs, I think what he does translates. He's a 90% free throw shooter, so you do think he does have good shooting touch, and you have to think that he's going to be a selective shooter. He's not going to shoot nearly as many jumpers he has to score and make plays for Michigan State, but I do think that he is somebody in the early. I wrote an article about him. Shout out to on my Substack. But I did write an article about him and just comparing him to the point guards who play like him, who've had success, and who are on their second contract. And there are a lot of similarities to what Jeremy Fears Jr. does in comparison to, like, I think Jamal Shead is going to end up being that point guard on that team just because he fits with what their main guys do. And like I said, I did compare him to TJ McConnell. Like, TJ McConnell was on his way to a fake finals MVP had, things worked out differently. And in the end, I'm reaching on the finals MVP. But, like, just him constantly putting pressure on, like, that's what Jeremy Fears Jr. does.
Yeah, I think one thing about TJ McConnell, I think I'm, like, off the top of my head, he got a lot more steals than Jeremy Fears. But just, I think that's probably will be one of his best outcomes, just off of the bench point guard with, like, similar to TJ McConnell, who creates pressure on the rim and then has that little short mid-range shot he always does. It's similar with Jeremy Fears. Like, he shot like 30 more short mid-range shots or 30 more mid-range shots than actual rim attempts this year because he just has that ability where he doesn't need to he can't get all the way to the rim sometimes, and he just hits that short mid-range shot, which can be an asset for smaller guards if they can be efficient at it. And right now he's at 44%. That's well above average for a shot like that. So, and he's shooting really well at the rim. So yeah, I think that he can carve out a role as an NBA player, draft him second round, and hope he can give you rotational point guard minutes on a competitive team probably.
Yeah, he's not somebody. I mean, he would be fine in any situation, but like a competitive team absolutely likes what he brings to the table because he knows who he is, and he's going to get guys involved. I guess we could say the last point guard of this lengthy podcast that we're going to do and we exchanged some texts about this young gentleman here. Welcome back, Mikel Brown Jr. 20 points, 6 assists, 7 of 11 shooting. I think he played 29 minutes in the win over Virginia Tech. This, I don't want to. It's never good to get hurt, but I think that this time off, maybe I'm making something up. So hang with me. I think that this time off helped Mikel Brown see what kind of shots he should be taking, because I think in my head, when I counted his attempts, I think I only counted 2 of them that were like, maybe that wasn't the best shot. But you saw the 3-point shooting off the dribble, the ability to get to the basket. We saw him finish in the paint, and we saw him just make plays. Like, there was a play he didn't get the assist for. It's a hockey assist. Drives left, throws a left hand. I think they call it the Nike pass. Swing to a wide open shooter. I regardless of the numbers, and again, I think they will trend up if he continues to take the right kind of shots. I've had Mikel Brown Jr. as a top 10 pick in this draft. Your thoughts, Latif, on Mikel Brown Jr.?
Yeah, Mikel came back and had a really good performance. I think that you saw what he can bring to this team in terms of creating paint touches, and in terms of getting downhill and creating for others and running this offense. They have really missed him. They struggled with him out. I mean, Ryan Conwell did all he could, but he's not Mikel Brown in terms of passing the ball. They really missed someone creating for the whole entire team like he did. To speak to his impact, with Mikel Brown on the floor, Louisville has a 128.9 offensive rating. Without him, they have a 121.9 offensive rating. That's a 7-point swing with him on in comparison to him off. So he's been incredibly impactful for this offense. And while he has struggled to shoot from 3 and struggle overall with his efficiency, when I sat back and looked at it, he's been obviously hurt since December 14th. So we had a lot of time to just reevaluate what he's done this year. I am more impressed than with Mikel Brown through his first 12 games of his college career, a lot more than I was in high school, to be honest. I think that his driving has been much better than what I anticipated. I think that he's had like above 1 point per possession on drives so far this year.
I want to say he, of the point guards that we're evaluating, has been the most efficient at the rim.
Yes.
I think maybe so. It's either him or Phylon, I believe.
Yeah, but like Flemings has got there a lot more. I think
yeah. Just as far as just points per, yes. I mean, obviously Flemings is going to get there more, but go ahead.
Yeah, Mikel has been incredibly efficient at the rim. He's at above 1 point per possession. He's not turning the ball over a lot on drives. I think he only had like 7% on drives in terms of turning the ball over. So his burst is there, his handle is there. He's drawing fouls. So these are things that he just didn't do in high school. To be completely honest, he did not get to foul on a lot in high school. He did not finish at the rim really well in high school whatsoever. And so in terms of his shooting, we know he's a good shooter, and so his shooting will positively regress, and it did in this game. He shot 3 for 6 from 3. So I'm counting on his shooting to positively regress, and I think the driving might dip a lot because again, I'm still operating a lot of his priors, so that should go down a little bit. But if he just has the best balance of driving and shooting in his class, and while being one of the best passers in his class,
6'5",
and 6'5", I can get really high on him. Like I can have him PG1 or PG2. Like I can get that high. The reason I was skeptical of Mikel coming into this class, and why I didn't have him as a top 5 pick in this class, because he wasn't into the rim. His 2-point scoring was a genuine concern, and to this point this season, it looks like he's fixed that. We got to see how it plays out to begin the year, to finish the year. I'm sorry, but if you're I don't know if you're a fan of Bart queries or not, but I posted one about it. He comfortably fits in a query with Trae Young, and he's the only prospect in his class a few weeks ago, at least, that did. High 3-point rate, high assist rate without turning the ball over a ton, and high free throw rate. Those are all characteristics Trae Young had in college. Now, obviously, he wasn't as prolific of a scorer as Trae Young, but he's also not 6'1" as well. So I think that Mikel has arguably. He has a case to have the highest offensive ceiling in a class outside of the Big Three. Him and Flemings are right there with that. I gotta see to have him in that conversation for a top 5 pick. I need to see the ball does have to start going in. Like he has to. His shot selection has to be better than what it was. Like you said, it was a few shots in the beginning of the game where Mikel was like, "Why did you shoot that?" So he has to be efficient. He has to play better down the stretch of the games. But everything outside of the pure box score numbers, like as far as 3-point percentage and field goal percentage, he's been pretty excellent on offense. Defensively, I again think he's pretty bad. But I think that if he's like a person with a really high offensive ceiling in terms of creation, I think I can have him in the top 10 as a person in this class, even if the defense is just bad.
Yeah, I look at him just through different lenses. Like I know what he did at DME. That was just score. And I know that I can't remember who it is. Bleacher Report, they compare him to Anthony Simons in that version of Mikel Brown Jr. That looks like Anthony Simons, but I don't think that's who he is, which is score. I've seen him in OTE make plays. I saw him on the Adidas circuit where it was more of a balance, but his finishing wasn't as good, where he was a playmaking point guard, but he still did score a lot. But I think he's one of the best passers in the draft. I think the size is good. Like I said, we clean up that continue because I'm going to say that time off, he watched film. We know he's in the gym when he can. I'm going to say that time off, he watched film and said, okay, I still need to be aggressive. I still need to shoot. I just may not need to shoot that particular shot. So as he continues to improve his shot selection, I have him in the top 10. I've had him in the top 10 maybe just because I just really like his game and maybe ignored some of the flaws. But I think that if he's able to put everything together, he can be the best point guard in this draft. And again, I don't think Darren Peterson is a point guard. So now we move on to the bigs. Speaking of getting better, Caleb Wilson. I don't know what people in Caleb Wilson's, if they even know who I am, but they may think that I'm a little harsh on Caleb Wilson. I know that people, when I say he reminds me of Marvin Bagley, they only see the Marvin Bagley who was drafted second and it hasn't panned out for him as a starter. But Marvin Bagley at Duke was a 21-10 guy, and you thought he was going to be able to stretch the floor. Now, again, I'm not saying Caleb Wilson has the same skill set, but there are, at least in my opinion, similarities as far as more athletic than everybody. I play extremely hard. I'm getting it off the muscle. It may not look like a lot of skill. With that being said, this is 2 games in a row that I've come away impressed with growth from Caleb Wilson. The Notre Dame game, I thought he was excellent. Again, Notre Dame is not a really good team, but you don't make the schedule. This last game on the road against Virginia, I know they got down by 10 at one point in the first half. He had some big shots. It looks like his balance is starting to get a little bit better. The jump shots are starting to fall. And obviously, he was ripping guys at half court like that. That's the defense it's been up and down, but you see the defense's potential. And obviously, he's going to play extremely hard. But Caleb Wilson, I think, has put together a stretch of 2 really good games that surpass what you see in the box score. Your thoughts on Caleb Wilson?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, this game, the box score looked great. 20 points, I think he had 2 rebounds.
The box score is always going to look great for him.
For sure, because he's high effort, he has high motor, he's aggressive on both sides of the ball. I thought that his defense is pretty good this game. He had a few highlight blocks, a few steals as well. He had a play where he switched onto the perimeter, blocked a shot, and then contested another shot at the rim in the same play. So I think he has the ability to, because of his ranginess and switchiness, blow up plays like that. Needs to be consistent a little bit more. My struggles with Caleb Wilson has always been like, we've talked about this in a half court. Like, he's not a very good creator. I think he hit some tough shots in this game, especially earlier in the game. Some tough mid-range shots where it didn't look the prettiest whatsoever. The ball went in though, but the process wasn't the best. I think that I got to write an article on him soon and like really dive into his offensive production because he's been doing a lot of post-ups. He obviously has like a lot of dunks off of like putbacks and like dump balls and stuff like that and out of dunker spot. I just think that he is very raw as a creator offensively.
I agree.
and the shooting indicators aren't great. So when you're a 4 that at this point can't shoot, is it going to put the ball on the floor from the perimeter and just drive? Because I don't think he's been a great driver either. He's not gonna just put the ball on the floor from the perimeter and drive to the rim. He's not gonna. He can't really like shoot off spot ups. So you get to the point where it's like he can be a real problem in terms of team building because offensively he's a 5, defensively he's a 4. We talked about this at length. In this game, I think that he made some really nice passes. I think that he obviously got out in transition and made plays as well. He's always pushing the pace. I think he's a really high field prospect. I think he's a really high motor prospect, and I think he's a really productive prospect. And that's why I've kept him in my top 5 because he's been productive, he's been efficient, he's been good. Just keep it that simple. But I think that he's a tweener that can't shoot and isn't going to go out there and just go get you a bucket in the half court in the NBA. I don't think so. A lot of the stuff that they run for him and at UNC, I don't think it's going to be palatable in the NBA.
Nah, I agree. Yeah, like I said, I did say this. Shoot, these last 2 games, there have been signs where you say, you know what, I can work with that in the half court. Again, we know in the full court, and we know as a cutter, he's going to be fantastic. But there are a couple plays where you're like, you know what, I might be able to work with that. He has some nice up and under baseline moves, but at the same time, like his balance most of the time is crazy. And even in that Virginia game, he shot some crazy shots.
Yeah, off balance. Sure.
Yeah, just off balance. But it looks like there's been at least to me, there looks like there's been a concerted effort to be more patient and try to stay on balance as far as these half court looks. Because I mean, UNC is going to give him the ball in spots that we don't necessarily think the NBA is going to give him the ball. So, but I did want to shout out Caleb Wilson. Like I said, he's in that 4 or 5 range for me again. You can't deny the production. You can't deny the motor. Wish he had a little bit more skill in the half court, but I think a team is going to look at him and say, you know what, there's just too much for us to work with, for us to ignore, and maybe we can fix it. And he can be a full-time 4 and not a tweener. Moving on to the forwards. They got a big matchup, so I have to look at the schedule. Duke and North Carolina is going to be very, very interesting. I see they're already camping out for tickets for that game. Cameron Boozer, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 11 of 20 shooting. He is shooting 58, 37, 76 splits on the season. He is way too good of a passer to double team in college basketball. He finds everybody on cuts. He throws skip passes. He's too strong to play one-on-one in most cases, and you're almost just basically like, I hope he has an off night. But he's such a good offensive rebounder, he might grab his own offensive rebound. He is shooting the ball extremely well. Is even as a there's not really words you can say because he's gonna win. He should win National Player of the Year. He's the best player in college basketball, and if you have him 1 or 2, I'm not gonna argue with you, because that dude gets the job done. Latif.
I never moved him. Well, I texted you and said I had Darren.
You moved him. Don't play with me, man. Don't play with me. Hey, look, listeners, viewers. No, Darren Peterson shot 11 of 13 against Baylor. He looked like Kobe Bryant Jr. And Latif was like, yo, I gotta move. He's number 1. No, now he's backpedaling, man. Come on. I mean, everybody knows. You should backpedal, but go ahead, Latif.
Darren is amazing, man, but I can't quit Cam. He's too good. He's the youngest. He's too good. Okay, so I'm gonna speak to like the broader audience, not even directly like towards you or people that I think that follow the NBA draft a lot. But I think the issue with the broader audience watching Cameron Boozer is that it doesn't look pretty. He doesn't give you any hezzy tween. He isn't super flashy. He doesn't take mid-range shots a lot in college. So because he is not extremely athletic or extremely flashy, people think it won't translate to the NBA. But I have never seen a player with this level of production at this age against this. of this competition ever not be productive in NBA. Not like the thing is, good players find a way. Like teams adapt to their play style, not the other way around. Like great players bend the constraints of what we think should work in NBA to their will, not the other way around. You watch Nikola Jokic isn't supposed to work. Luka Doncic isn't supposed to work. Those are both unathletic white guys.
Hold on. Here's the thing, though.
Listen.
Go ahead. No. Hold on. Is supposed to work because Jokic is, and you can even draw. Go ahead.
If Jokic is supposed to work, he wouldn't have been drafted 41. I don't think.
I mean, that's 100% hindsight. That's like saying
he's a non-rim running big that was drafted in 2014. That was not that's not an archetype that was popular. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But again, everybody in the world got Jokic wrong. But I'm saying it works because he has, and you can even make some of these not the same similarities, but he's 7 feet. All right, he's one of the best conditioned athletes in the NBA. Doesn't have a cut in his arm, but cuts in your arms don't do anything for you in the NBA. He has God level touch around the basket, and he is probably, I'm older than you. He's probably one of the 5 best passers that I've ever seen in my life.
This sounds like somebody.
Boozer, say that again.
This sounds like somebody I know. This sounds like somebody I know. Obviously, it's not to the level of Jokic, but we're talking about.
But go ahead.
Because if he with his athletic limitations, he has to be scoring somehow, and it's because of his touch. His touch is amazing.
Boozer or Jokic?
Boozer.
Okay.
His touch is really good. His passing is one of the best ever at his size. Like undeniably, it is. He's one of the best.
He has it figured out. Like, and I know people. I don't even care about those full court chest passes. To be honest, that happens like once or twice a game. I'm talking like I see the double, I see it come, I hit the cutter, we run down the court. Like that's what you want your big man to do, Or he had a play, not this game against Wake Forest, the game before. And I don't even know if it resulted in a made basket, but he do just like a crazy, like he anticipated where the defense was, and I think he hit Gungba cutting on the baseline, and like his feel for the game is amazing. And I guess my only concerns was he production? Never gonna question that. Finishing over length, and it's like. He's been good. So if he makes me eat my words, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit here and stand on something just for the sake of standing on it. Like, he's a great player. And whether he goes 1, 2, or 3, a team is going to get a great player. And I almost wanted to take the weak way out and say that there are 3 number 1 picks in this draft, because I think that everybody had those 3 guys have all level NBA talent. And the future of the NBA is great. But go ahead about Cameron Boozer.
He is the youngest out of he's the youngest out of the 3 prospects. He's been the youngest forever, and he's been the most productive out of the 3 prospects forever, and is continuing in college. He's extremely high field. He is extremely high impact. He can finish at the rim against anybody without being a super high level athlete, because his understanding of leverage is so good. Once he gets you on his hip, it is over. He's gonna finish through you. He is 6'9", 250 at 18. He's going to get stronger. He is one of the highest field, best passing big prospects ever. Like right now, he's at 27 assist percentage to just 11 turnover percentage. That's pretty much unheard of from someone his size on his value. Duke is not that good of a basketball team. I promise you, they're not. They are way worse than what they were last year. They fall apart a lot of times when Boozer was off the floor or he doesn't have it going. He's shooting 37% from 3. You talked about Jokic, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like comparing prospects to Hall of Famers all the time. But when he is that mode of like he'll fall somewhere on I think, and it doesn't look like it, but like the Sengun to Jokic level of like big prospect because you talk about Jokic. What's Jokic's superpower? Touch. Like he's 7 foot.
One of his superpowers,
One of
yes.
his superpowers is touch. He has that. It's interior passing. Cameron is the best interior passing big in the country by the numbers, 99 percentile. He is a really good shooter.
Yes.
Jokic, he's shooting 37% from three on 7 attempts per 100 possessions. Really good. One of the best shooting big prospects just ever. It's by the numbers. It's purely numbers based where he qualifies in all these things. He's an excellent offensive rebounder, excellent rebounder in general. Again, I'm not concerned about the offense whatsoever. Maybe he is not like your traditional give him the ball and go get a bucket score, but he can perform in so many play types. He can run a pick and roll. We've seen him do it. He can pick and pop. We've seen him do it. He can attack and close out. We've seen him do it. He can post up. We've seen him do it. He can roll. We've seen him. He can do everything on the court offensively. There's not something he can't do. He's good at everything offensively, like literally, except maybe shooting mid ranges and like he struggles sometimes as a 1-on-1. Like he has flaws, of course, but again, great players just figure it out. Everybody people try to compare him to say he won't work. Jaleel Okafor for some reason. It's not him.
I don't do that stuff.
Like not you. I'm just saying like the conversations around Cameron Boozer are just terrible. Anybody that deny him, like okay, you can have him. I don't care about you having him 3, but there's no argument for Caleb Wilson over him. We got to stop that.
No. I don't think that. No.
Way too much. Anything outside of 1, 2, 3 is just I think it's blasphemous. He is the youngest, most productive, most efficient, most impactful, most versatile of all the 3 prospects. I saw a tweet earlier. The other 2 prospects are more skilled than him, and the problem with that is people don't recognize passing and rebounding as a skill. They don't. They just don't. They don't.
You gotta think that. I don't want to sound elitist, but the average fan thinks skill is only looks like what you do if you dribble between the legs, and that's not. Rebounding is a skill, touch is a skill, passing is a skill. So like, he's extremely skilled. The reason why is so successful is because he's so skilled.
If he wasn't extremely skilled, he would not be successful because he's not a great athlete. It's
exactly. That's when you just gotta just keep scrolling by that stuff on Latif, man. Like
the defense though is, I mean, there's definitely some warts there.
He's gonna get attacked on defense. We know that, but I just feel like he's like I don't know if you're a car guy, but he's like a Toyota Land Cruiser, man. That thing is gonna get you through every situation possible and still be a luxury car. It may not look as cool as the Bentley truck, but guess what? You can get 400,000 miles on a Toyota Land Cruiser. You're not going to have any issues. It's going to perform like a superstar. And maybe some of the other guys are Bentley trucks that you may have some issues with as far as the maintenance and if it's going to work every night. But Cameron Boozer is amazing. He can bore you if you don't pay attention to how good he really is.
I think he's going to be a top 10 player in the NBA, man. I really do think so. I think all 3 of these guys can. I think all 3 of these guys can be if things go correctly for them. But I've seen people make comparisons to Sengun, and I kind of see some of it, right? But more like a wing version of that, like not an actual wing, but like a more person that plays more on the perimeter. But imagine if Sengun can actually shoot, because we thought he could for the first game of the season, and then he showed us he can.
Yeah.
And imagine if Sengun's touch was just excellent, which is not, which is why he struggles to score at the rim at times. He's going to be like, if Sengun could actually shoot to the rim better and actually like create turnovers with steals and have the best hands, one of some of the best hands in basketball, he would be a top 10 player in the world. But since he can't do that, he's not. And Cameron Boozer will be able to.
I'm not mad at that take. I like Cameron Boozer. Like I said, if I'm Washington, man, please give me Cameron Boozer. Cause
man, I made that tweet earlier. I made that tweet and it had some traction. People were saying no, we need Caleb Wilson because our defense isn't good, so we need Caleb Wilson.
No,
you should be drafted fit at number 1.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not drafting for fit for 1. For 2, Alex Sarr and Caleb Wilson. That's not gonna work. You can do it, but Cameron Boozer
Do you
is
think he's
a
better?
better
You think he's better than
prospect.
Flag? He's been much better than Flag this year. I'm just gonna. He just has.
He's been better than
He's been better.
he's on a worse team, and he's
And
a great
performed better.
player, and everything is going to bend towards him. I don't know if he's better long term than Flag because I think Flag defensively is going to be great. I think Flag in 6 years is first team All NBA offense, first team All NBA defense. Did I say 6 years? Yeah, he's be 25. 24? Flag is I
25.
think Flag's defense upside is yeah. Like he could be the next wing, which is really should be a big man's award, but he could be the wing that wins defensive player of the year. I think that's what Flag. And at the same time he's figured out two levels of scoring at the NBA. So yeah. And even just to I guess to wrap up that conversation, like I don't ever want to hear anybody say anything there's ever not anything wrong with it, but like American basketball is unbelievable. It's not
Yeah.
even close, to be honest with you. And people say
I never.
things, I don't know if it's for clicks, or I don't know if they're not really paying attention, but like American basketball is unbelievable. Whether you like how the process looks, whether you don't like the bad things that goes wrong with grassroots basketball, like we're amazing. Like Cooper Flag is averaging 20 and he's supposed to be in college. You know what I'm saying? Like look at these guys we just had three freshmen at different levels of accolades score 40 points in a game on the same day. We're amazing. All right, last prospect of the day. Go ahead.
Oh, I just like even like that conversation just never resonated with me because yes, the top 5 players in the NBA are foreign, but the next 50 are American. I mean,
And, and
like
and to be honest with you, is Shea Gilgeous foreign? He played high school basketball
no,
in the United States.
he played
He played
AAU
AAU
basketball.
basketball in the United States. Joel Embiid, he came over here in high school. He was shooting over the backboard. He probably had some skill, but that skill development that turned him from what he was, he's not to say he's a top 5 player, but when he was in that conversation, that was American development. I mean, you can almost make the case for Giannis. Giannis was malnourished. He came over here at 18, but like from 18 to 31, that has a lot to do with us. And you can take credit for that. And you can take credit for Luka. And those guys are great. Those guys are amazing, but like players, I mean, look at Anthony Edwards. If you want to like really like nerd out, look at his shooting progress from you forget the video that just came out from rookie year to where he is now. He shoots 9 threes off the dribble a game, and he's improved every single year. He has excellent footwork. He's an excellent basketball player. But because he has a 45-inch vertical, he'll dunk on you. You think that he's just an athlete. No, he's extremely skilled. That's grassroots, whatever you want to call it, our development. But let's wrap this pod up. We got to talk about Nate Ament. 29 points, 7 rebounds, 10 of 20 shooting. He has been better in SEC play. I know we talked about it before. We mentioned, threw it out that he may need another year. Your thoughts on Ament? I did talk about him on my last pod. I think 40% of his shots are mid-range jumpers. I don't like that. And as a guy who really likes mid-range jumpers, I don't like it for him because he doesn't create space and he doesn't finish at the rim. And he's not shooting enough threes, nor is he making threes. So basically, this year, he's a mid-range merchant. And I don't want my 6'10 guy to be a mid-range merchant. Your thoughts on Ament? Again, shout out to him, playing well. He's been better in SEC play. Still getting fouled a lot. He had a really good game against A&M where it looked like what we thought he could do. That worked. But your thoughts, Latif, on Nate Ament?
Yeah, Nate Ament has definitely been playing better in conference play, which is definitely encouraging because usually it goes the opposite way.
Correct.
But still not a big fan of his prospects. You mentioned it earlier. He has more non-rim twos than rim twos and threes.
Because he can't get to the basket off the
Yeah,
dribble.
he's it's been a struggle for him to get to the basket off the dribble since high school and finish at the rim since high school. But it's being compounded by genuine bad offensive context that he's playing in right now because they have two big men just camping in the paint, and that is not ideal for his development. I don't think he should have went to Tennessee, just because SEC is an extremely physical conference, and also they have two bigs camping in the paint. Jacoby Gillespie is a good point guard, but I think he's kind of more so a scoring slanted at times than just getting his teammates involved. I think they've given him extreme too much usage as a creator, where he should be an off ball centric player. They should be using him like they use Ace in Utah right now, and he'd be performing a lot better. I think there is something there with Nate though, just being 6'10". I think he's a much better shooter than what he's displaying right now, just based on his high school sample. I think that he has really good touch. I think that he can be a good defender as well. I'm probably still leaning towards him coming back for next year, but this is definitely good ground to be gaining. He was aggressive in this game. He got to the rim at least one time that I liked.
He barked in homie's face, the G League guy. After he scored, they had the nice little tweet. I don't think that his lack of strength is. I think it's between the ears, man. I'm not questioning anybody's whatever. I'm not saying anybody's the S word. I think that he doesn't play strong, and it isn't because he isn't strong. And I think that yes, the spacing has issues, and this is not from last game. Last game, he got to his spots for the most part, and he knocked down those mid-range jumpers. I just think that his handle is good for his size, but his foot speed, it doesn't create space. And also, whether or not he's not strong, he doesn't play strong, which means there's no shoulder bumps, there's no physicality to create space. And I think that's the main issue for him. And I mean, yes, he shot the ball extremely well in high school, but at one point, I don't know. At one point, he was passing up open shots, which means you're second guessing yourself. But on top of that, he's shooting 28%, I believe, from three on the season. And even in this monster game, I think he made 2 threes, and he only shot like 3 in this 29-point game in the win against Alabama. He is somebody who he's not going to play how he's playing at style in the NBA. I think he's going to be standing in the corner, attack a closeout. Maybe we get some action, some movement, shooting. There will be a lot more threes versus twos.
It's going to be some Jabari Smith Jr. type of stuff, probably.
Exactly. But he plays like Jabari Smith Jr. But is he the level of shooter? I got to look at the numbers, Jabari Smith Jr. I know that Houston fans been dragging him for his performances. Houston Rockets fans have been dragging for his performances of late. But yeah, man, the 6'10" guy that can shoot, but has like a 2-dribble max, who it just kind of scares me, man. Make a lot of money playing that way, long career, but I think that his range of where he is, and again, I think some team, if he does declare, some team is going to draft him high because he's 6'10" and he shows you there's some flashes of some things that he can do. I just don't think he has the mobility to make it all work for what you think that he could become. So I still have him at like 21, 22, even with the better SEC play. But again, if you're in the 20s, my board isn't the board, but if you're in the 20s, you probably need to take a long look at going back to school, especially in the draft next year that isn't as strong.
I agree.
Well, that wraps up today's podcast. We went over a lot because there was a lot going on this Saturday. We got BYU Arizona next week. Definitely looking forward to that. And we got basically like the Muhammad Ali, George Foreman Thrilla in Manila fight the next weekend, BYU and Kansas. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Also, just, I mean, who's going to drop the next 40-point game? I don't know if we'll ever see another weekend like that. But I am your host, James Barlowe. I got my guy, Latif Love. Again, Latif, they tuned in late or they just skipped around to hear about their favorite players. Where can they find you and your work at?
Real Latif Love on Twitter and lovemytakes.com, LOVE, mytakes.com on Substack. Appreciate you guys if you would subscribe and follow my work, but that's where you guys can find me.
All right, well, that concludes this evening's podcast. Check me out. I am at Draft Junkie James. I believe, let's see, it's the end of January. I'm going to put out another big board at the end of the month, and I'm going to put it out on a Friday. And then Sunday night, which I believe is February 1st, I'm just going to go live. And if you want to trash my board, whatever, I'll go live and I'll talk about my big board. I'm trying to do top 60 this time instead of top 30. So I'm gonna leave my basketball session just to talk to you guys, I guess, if anybody wants to talk. So that concludes the pod. We are out.